This video is sponsored by Skillshare. What would you do if one day you could suddenly see spirits out of the blue? Not just any spirits either. I'm talking shit out of genuine nightmares. Would you run? Would you scream? Would you stop and talk to them? Or if you're like Miko, would you just pretend they don't exist? Well, sure, maybe you could pretend they weren't there once or twice. It's not like spirits are everywhere.
Oh God, don't tell me they're everywhere!
Yeah, they're everywhere too. Walking on the streets, floating in midair, hiding in lockers, desks around corners, within your own home, and even underneath the sheets of your bed. There is no escaping them. So how is it that someone can constantly see such horrific atrocities day in and day out, yet somehow keep calm and collected in the face of true terror? That is the premise behind a manga I want to recommend today called Mieruko-Chan by Tomoki Izumi. If that opening premise sounds compelling enough, I already feel this manga is for you. However, if you're not completely sold on it yet, there is still more than meets the eye. This manga isn't just centering around horror, and instead blends a healthy mixture of ecchi, moe, and comedy to make this something new and refreshing for the genre. Plus, Miko herself is undoubtedly must-protect material, and should be treated as such. The manga begins in quite the episodic manner, mainly focusing on how Miko is constantly put in unique situations where she has to stare these grotesque beings in the face without acknowledging them, all the while protecting her friend Hana from these spirits which are strangely drawn to her, leading to plenty of situations that had me guessing what would happen next or genuinely getting a chuckle out of me from the result. While beginning somewhat episodically, for those who don't really like that kind of thing, you'll also be happy to hear an overarching plot does form pretty quickly. I want to keep a lot of things vague to avoid spoilers, and also I find it's better to jump into new series without knowing too much, so I'll keep that overarching plot a mystery. In addition to some suspense and good laughs, there were a couple moments that genuinely brought a couple tears to my eyes too. Two chapters I namely want to highlight to give you examples of this and also just give you a better idea of what you're getting into, is one involving Miko and Hana coming across a stray kitten and wanting to find a new home for it. So they send out a post for someone to come by and pick it up. The first person interested is a seemingly normal looking guy, but they're surrounded by countless horrifying auras shaped like cats, alluding to something much more sinister, leading to Miko turning him down and telling him to get lost, forcing him to leave in shame. Directly after, a much scarier looking man comes to ask for the kitten, and he happens to be surrounded by two much happier looking cat spirits. We then get a little flash forward of the man taking care of his new family member surrounded by the ghosts of his two previous cats, and what I would like to believe is his late wife or girlfriend. It was just a really touching moment for me, brought a tear to my eye.
F what I said about protecting Miko. Protect this man at all costs!
The other chapter I wanted to highlight being one where Miko comes downstairs to have breakfast with her family in the morning, and clinging to her father is one of these hideous spirits. So Miko has to interact with her family as normally as possible without acknowledging its existence and keeping a level head. She somehow manages to brave the storm as usual, but as she's about to leave the house, we're hit with a chilling revelation. Miko's father has been dead for a year. The spirit she was trying to avoid was that of her late father the entire time. Now having to come face to face with him again and not being able to acknowledge him leads to a really heartbreaking moment. Mieruko-Chan has a lot to offer. It might just sound like a weird knockoff of The Sixth Sense at first glance. I see dead people. But the two of them really couldn't be any more different. I myself was sucked into this manga just by the description alone, as I'm not a very jumpy person in the face of fear, but just imagining myself having to bring forth such strength and willpower to brush these things off every day seemed like such an impossible task. I was automatically sympathizing with Miko from the start, and I was just hooked from there. The side characters, comedy, and even the occasional bits of ecchi only seem to enhance the story further, believe it or not. But the real standout trait of this manga has to be Tomoki Izumi's knack for designing such nightmare fuel time and time again. Each one of these spirits, or whatever you want to call them, are so incredibly unique, twisted, and overall terrifying that each new chapter has me excited to see what awful thing Miko is about to encounter next. And in the world of horror manga, being able to have such a fresh take on terror is a huge draw for me. The manga has only been out since the tail end of 2018, having 33 chapters upon the release of this video, so it's still a good time to jump in. Additionally, it was announced just last month that the manga is getting an anime adaptation sometime in 2021 by Passione. So if anime is more your style, keep this one on your radar. Overall, I recommend you check it out either way, and I hope you enjoyed this little recommendation. You could say I was just inspired to make this video in an attempt to try and get others to check it out. So if you want me to do more recommendation typed content in the future, let me know. While you're at it, be sure to like this video if you enjoyed, subscribe and hit that bell for more content, as I've got plenty of other projects in the works at all times. And before we go, let's have a word from our sponsor who made this video possible, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. Explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in never-ending creativity. They offer classes for a wide variety of creative mediums at any skill level, such as music, graphic design, video, film, and so much more. When it comes to making YouTube videos, I'm always aiming to improve my editing skills. So I've been taking a class called Advanced Video Editing with Adobe Premiere Pro 2020 by Jordy Vanput, in an attempt to learn some new techniques and ramp up my quality. Jordy does such a good job explaining everything that some of the things I learned were applied to this very video. Skillshare always puts learning first, meaning there are always new classes being added and no advertisements, to help keep all those creative juices flowing. It's also extremely affordable, at under $10 per month with an annual subscription. And luckily for you guys, the first 1,000 of my subscribers that follow the link in the description get a free trial of premium membership so you can follow those creative passions right off the bat. I can't recommend it enough, and I implore you to check them out. Thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring the video, and thank you for watching. See you all soon with a new video.
Now